Good day, comic fam. Comics of the Voice here. And we've got another installment of the Transformers. This is issues number 31 to 40. So let's dig into it. Stay tuned. Hey, comic fam. The Transformer t-shirt that I normally wear is in the wash, so you guys got the Con Pops from Fan Expo from a couple years ago instead. Yeah, it's fine. Transformers. This one's issue 31. Got old Rat-Bat there. And he's grabbed Buster Witwicky and his girlfriend. I forget what her name was, Jessie, I think, in the car wash. The Car Wash of Doom. So this one's called Buster Witwicky and the Car Wash of Doom. Yeah, it sounds all dramatic. So we got Bob Budiansky and Don Perlin on the art. So Shockwave sends a Decepticon force to capture the BlackRock oil tankers, only to find out that it's empty. So Rat-Bat decides to use humans to deliver the fuel by brainwashing them. So he creates these car washes that when you drive through the car wash, it gives you like the sparkly stuff in the face and it makes you brainwashed, and then you're susceptible to suggestions, which means you're going to go take your car to a fuel station, fill it up, and then bring it to a depot where the Decepticons will remove your fuel and put it into a container of their own. So that was pretty cool. That was smart. And then, of course, Buster finds out that his dad has been brainwashed too, and he's, along with BlackRock. BlackRock, remember, he got brainwashed in a previous episode when I was talking about it. They put that chip and it flashed his face, and now he's part of Rat-Bat's pack. Yeah, that's a good one. Rat-Bat's pack. So Buster and Jessie discover the brainwashing and try to stop Rat-Bat and Rat-Bat and Laserbeak at the BlackRock fueling storage facility. And there's hundreds of brainwashed humans are there. And they're bringing their cars to get siphoned. So BlackRock and Rat-Bat introduce a new version of the car wash that will permanently brainwash you. So it's not just a little brainwash. And then, of course, Buster's dad is going to be first. So Buster's got to do something to stop it. So he runs in there and blocks it and tells his girlfriend to run away, and she doesn't, and she comes back and saves him because he's in there fighting. And they find out like a giant arc flash will snap people out of it. So he short circuit the big car wash sign, and it causes it to flash, and everybody's brains go back to normal. And then they realize that this giant robot cassette tape thing is attacking the humans, so they all pile on and battle it. And that's pretty cool. And then that causes Laserbeak and Rat-Bat to retreat. Retreat, Decepticons, retreat. 32. Now we got a used car salesman. So there's actually lots of keys in there, and Key Collector didn't know about any of them because there's all kinds of first appearances. So this one here is called Used Autobots, and it's Bob Budiansky and Don Perlin again. So Goldbug, Blaster, Freeway, Wide Load, Searchlight, Rollbar, and Chase are attacked by Vortex on the freeway, and then find cover in a used car lot, and after being ambushed. And then, of course, the sales guy sees all these cars on the lot, and then he figures out that they're Autobots, and there's a reward to the rat. Remember that rat with the Triple I, the intelligence agency, and they've got their rat patrol. He rats them out to them for cash, of course. And it doesn't go well for him because he puts a shitty fuel in them that actually causes them to be disabled. So then the Rat Pack can just basically capture them and throw them in their truck haulers. So what happens is the who's running the Autobots now? It's that dude there, Grimlock. That dude. So Grimlock sends the Protectobots out to attack the Decepticons, and basically Blaster thinks that they're coming to save him, and it turns out they're coming to arrest his ass and bring him back, because basically Grimlock has come up with a punishment that he wants to punish Blaster for basically defecting. He doesn't care about the other Autobots being captured and taken to the III headquarters, where they're going to be executed by the humans. How good is that? Yeah. So that's what happens in that one. And then it's kind of a continuation. So this is a weird one. This one, issue 33, was actually released in England. It's called Man of Iron, and it's a different writer on this one, Steve Parkhouse, and the art's done by John Ridgway. So this one was actually originally released in the UK, and then it was released again in the US, and this is the first US version of it. And it's kind of a standalone issue, because this one's got Stansham Castle in England gets bombed by these 3 Decepticons, like out of the blue for absolutely no reason. And the police arrive, and they think one of the bombs has been unexploded and it's underground. And it turns out that there's this huge complex underneath the castle, and it's an Autobot ship that had been on Earth a long, long time ago. And there was an Autobots on board that would come out back in the medieval days, which is kind of neat because there was a lure about it, and Optimus Prime and the other Autobots had heard about it, so they sent a team out to try and find out if it was the truth. So yeah, see, Optimus Prime, who was dead in the regular series, suddenly he's back in this one, because this is like some kind of standalone prequel book, which doesn't fit in the continuity of what's going on with this. What have we got here? So the Autobots, Jazz, freaks out when he finds out there's a kid in this kid named Sammy, and Sammy saw Jazz in the woods when he was out there playing, because his dad is the curator of the castle, and when the Decepticons bombed it, they called him to come to the castle, and he was looking for his son. His son was playing in the woods, and Jazz was hiding out in the woods, and the kid saw him and freaked out and went, "Oh Jesus, what the hell's this giant robot thing?" And he'd seen that before in one of his dad's tapestries of this dude, the big Iron Man. So he told his dad about it. And then later on, Jazz finds out that he's got this tapestry about this old Iron Man, and he wants to find out about it. So he basically kidnaps Sammy and takes him back to Optimus to find out everything he knows about this Iron Man. And of course, the Decepticons find out about all this stuff. And I think this is a 2-part. Yeah, this is a 2-part series. So this was the first part, and they end it with Sammy basically getting kidnapped, and then they concluded in the second issue, or the next issue, which is number 34, and it's the Man of Iron part 2, and you see Optimus on the cover. And again, this one's called Man of Iron. Actually, it's part 3 and 4, so this one actually had part 1 and 2, and this one had 3, and then the conclusion in it. And it was also done by Parkhouse, and the art in this one was done by Collins. So like I said, Jazz brings Sammy to Optimus Prime and talks about the Iron Man. The Decepticons attack the downed ship when the Autobots come out. And then Starscream, this Autobot comes out, this guy, and Starscream destroys him, blows him up, and they keep attacking the ship. And then Optimus realizes that these guys are not going to stop, because this is a functioning ship underground. So it turns out there was another Autobot in the ship sleeping, and they didn't know about it, and they came, and they ultimately, Optimus ordered them to destroy the ship. So at the end, they blew up the ship and never found out about the mission from the other Autobot that was in stasis. So a standalone 2-issue thing with Optimus still around, and then we go back into the regular continuity in 35. This one's called Child's Play, and we're back to Bob Budiansky again and Don Perlin on the art. So this one, a bunch of kids are playing in a rail yard. They're playing like cops and robbers and stuff, and pretending to be shot dead and all this good stuff. And then when the Protectobots drive through with Buster as a prisoner, right? Because before this crap happened, he was captured by the Protectobots, and they put him on the back of a motorcycle, and they stuck this inhibitor thing on him so he can't transform. And then the Decepticons, the Combaticons, show up, and they see the Protecticons heading back, and they got a prisoner, so they attack him. So the leader of the Protectobots, what was his name? I don't know if I put it in here. He tells one of the Protectobots to take Blaster somewhere and hide him. So he hides him in some frickin' drain pipe. And of course the kids find the radio, right? And they're like, oh shit, cool, this is a radio, let's take this thing. And then they remove the restraint off of them, and that allows them to transform. And then Grimlock is busy back at the Ark, and they have tapped into the volcano, the dormant volcano, and they're getting the energy from the volcano to repower their ship. Because Grimlock says, enough of this frickin' planet, we're leaving, and we're going to get the Ark back up and running and get the hell out of here. So he's busy doing that. And then the Protectobots form Defensor to fight the combined Combaticons, who turn into Bruticus. So we got the two giant robots that are facing off, and the Autobots are losing. So Blaster faces off with Bruticus and then tells him that he's with the Decepticons, not the Autobots. So he's like, oh, prove it. Why don't you kill one of the little fleshlings? So he points his gun at the one kid and pretends to shoot him, and the kid goes down like he was shot, and it was just faking it out. And he uses this big 20,000 volt electrical overhead cable-y thing, and he blasts Bruticus with that and breaks him off into its little component pieces again. And then they immediately slap the restraint thing on Vortex, I think it is. Blastoff, who's a space shuttle, right? And what happens after that? Oh yeah, the kids want to go for a ride into space, so Blaster says, all right, sure, let's go to space. So he throws the kids in the space shuttle, and they go flying to space. We know that's good. That's going to end well. That'll be, that's fine. Let's just take these kids. Parents don't know what the hell's going on, and we're just going to go, let's go fly up into space, because, what could go wrong? Nothing. Everything will be fine. So here we are, 36. Look at this. There's the kids in space. Looks like they're walking the plank, because now Grimlock launches the Ark and says, you know what, we're out of here. So when he sees the Decepticon space shuttle blast off, take off, he takes off, and the Ark goes in pursuit and starts shooting at the damn thing, and there's kids on board. So this one's called Space Hikers, written by Bob Budiansky, and now the art has changed. We got Jose Delbo, and this is the first appearance of Skylynx, not on Key Collector app. And not only is the first appearance, he's on the cover. So first appearance and first cover appearance of an Autobot that's a triple changer again. Because they had Decepticons, we had triple changers, and now we've got an Autobot called Space Lynx, and he's like basically a space shuttle, and then he turns into a Lynx, and then he's got some kind of cat mode that he can turn into. Well, and he was an old buddy of Wheeljack's, so Wheeljack had managed to get hold of him on Cybertron, and he came through and says, okay, I'm going to come through and help with the war with the Decepticons. And he shows up just as the Decepticons, one Decepticon and Blastoff, and Blaster's running the ship, is flying through, and he sees the Ark attacking this. So then he goes after the Decepticon ship, and the kids are like, oh crap, man, that's, we're being attacked everywhere. So he flies it into an asteroid field where the Ark can't follow. And the kids save Blaster by jettisoning him out the airlock to thank him for saving them. They save Blaster. So then Blaster gets captured by the Autobots, and the Autobots didn't even realize it, because he goes into the Ark just as Grimlock and the Dinobots fly by themselves out into the asteroid field to get the Decepticon ship. And then when they capture it, they find these frickin' kids on board. And by this time, Blaster's gone back to the Ark. The Autobots are all happy that he's back and alive, and they want him to be a leader, and they want to kick Grimlock and the Dinobots to the curb. So Blaster says, you know what, screw this, I'm going to just surrender to Grimlock. And then Grimlock is going to make the kids walk the plank, right? And then Skylynx comes in and saves them, and then flies through the Kuiper Belt again. So we've got Jinx now flying through there, and the Dinobots are trying to attack him. And it's right out of control. And and then at the end of this, it was Blaster surrendering to the Dinobots, and they left us hanging. So we'll see what's going to happen in the next issue. Blaster's going to take over. What's going on? We don't know. Did the kids make it back to Earth? Are they protected? All right, so now we're on to issue 37. We still got Grimlock up there in the corner. This one's called Toy Soldiers, Bob Budiansky, and then we still got that art on that new guy, Jose Delbo. So in this one here, the Predacons and the Constructicons are raiding fuel depots with Rat-Bat, Blitzwing, and we got back at the Triple I, the 5 Autobots that were captured, again, a bunch of issues ago, remember, the used car lot, are going to be executed, right? So Mr. Forsyth has waged basically a private war against all the robots. He doesn't believe that there's good and bad, they're all evil. But Mr. Barnett believes that there are Autobots and Decepticons, and there's a difference between the two. So the brain modules in these things are really tiny in these Transformers. So he takes out the 5 brain modules and he puts them into toy cars that he gets from his kids. And then when they destroy the bodies, they do it on national TV, so everybody sees them. And Rat-Bat sees the the humans killing the Autobots. So he brings these guys here. What are these guys? Are these the Predacons? Yeah, I think they're the Predacons. So he brings them to the Triple I headquarters, and he wants to verify that the Autobots are dead. And as they rip apart the cubes, because they crush them up in a automotive thing into a little cube, so the Predacons are ripping them apart and then find out that the brain modules are gone. So Rat-Bat's freaking out, and he's like, where the hell did you put these things? Where are they? Meanwhile, Mr. Barnett's on the run, and he goes to find Buster Witwicky. So Buster Witwicky is with him, and they're going to go see his dad and then find a way back to the Ark and try and get help. So they end up battling it out in some kind of a mall, and Buster takes off with just Goldbug and goes to the Ark to find out what the hell's going on and to call for help. So they get there, and for some reason, they're in these little toy cars and they're running out of batteries. So Buster sees this stereo and he grabs it to pull the batteries out to power Goldbug, and doesn't Rat-Bat go into cassette mode and goes inside the cassette in the radio that Buster takes with him. I mean, he could have just taken the batteries and then dumped the radio, but he didn't. He took the freaking thing with him all the way to the Ark just for Rat-Bat to come out and then grab the two of them, right? Or actually smash Goldbug and then take the kid. So that kind of leaves it, because they get back to the mountain and they find that the Ark's gone, right? Because it took off up into space. Rat-Bat, yeah, and that's that. So they leave it hanging there. All right, let's carry on. Did we resolve the issue with the kids? Nope. We're going to assume they're okay. They're back on Earth. They're fine. It's all right. Trial by Fire, written by Bob Budiansky and Jose Delbo is the art. So this one's got a shit ton of first appearances again. So now we're on to these new headmasters. So it's kind of neat because it's another planet. It's a planet inhabited by humans that the Autobots came to, but they're humans, humanoid, and the planet is, what is it called here? Nebulous. And the leader of the Nebulons would be this guy named Galen. And he invited the Autobots because they were peace-loving. And of course, you have to have an opposition. So there's this dude named Lord Zarak. You know, it sounds menacing. Lord Zarak says, nope, all these robots are bad, so we're gonna fight them. So he sides with the Decepticons. And they become these, what they call the headmasters. So they have this armor and some kind of brain thing that they can attach to and sync with the robots that they're attached with. So Galen is a human that's attached to, which one was he attached to? I got this stuff written all over the place. So now I gotta read here to figure out who did what. Hang on, I almost got it here. So okay, let's go through them. So the Autobots, I'm going to have the Autobot and then who he's paired with. So there's an Autobot called Brainstorm, and his human head is named Arcana. Fortress Maximus, that's actually Galen, but there's another one that he goes into first, right? It's Cerebro. So Galen, this is funny. So Galen, he's wearing this Transformer armor that transforms into a small head that goes on to Cerebro. And then Cerebro turns into a larger head that goes on to Fortress Maximus. So are you following me there? So a head within a head on a head. Okay, we're good. And then we've got another Autobot called Highbrow, and he is paired with a human called Gort. And then we have Hardhead, which is another Autobot. He's attached with Duros. We have Chrome Dome with Stylar. And we have Spike Witwicky, who just kind of shows up in this too. So Spike is Buster's brother and Sparky's younger son. So, well, actually older son. He was at university and he shows up at home and wonders what the hell's going on here. So with the Lord Zarak, so he's the bad guy. So these are the Decepticon headmasters. So we got Lord Zarak, who's in Scorponok. We got Mindwipe, Weird Wolf, and Skull Crusher. But I'm not sure who they're paired up with because they didn't. It was unclear. There was two other humans there, one named Vorath and one named Krunk, but I don't know which one they pair with, and it was unclear. They didn't show really that in there. So Galen hears the Autobot distress call. So the whole thing with Galen is he built a ship when he was back on Nebulos because when the Decepticons and Autobots, headmasters, they were warring on his planet, and he was fearful that they were just going to destroy the entire planet. So he took his Autobots and flew up into space, and then Lord Zarak chased him, and then they were just fighting amongst the stars, and he had this huge massive ship. It looks like a space station, and he's been building other Autobots and stuff on this one. So there's a distress call that Goldbug sent out in this issue. He finds out about that, and he goes to Earth to try and find out what's going on. And he shows up at where the Ark was crashed, only to find Spike, because Spike had met up with his dad, and his dad told him that Buster was kidnapped by this Ratbat, who ended up destroying his garage and making him homeless. Poor guy, Sparky's had a heart attack. He's had his kid crapped out, and he lost his one kid because he got kidnapped. He got his garage destroyed, his whole business, his house has been destroyed, and now his second son is going to take off and end up becoming another headmaster. So yeah, Sparky he's not happy. He's not happy. So then the Decepticon headmasters, they show up at the base after the Autobot ones leave and Spike is hiding. And then of course the Decepticons find him, and they're going to squish him, and they're threatening him and everything, asking where the hell did the Autobot headmasters go. And then the headmaster Autobots show back up, and then they battle inside the volcano, and of course Galen gets killed, saving Spike. And then Spike takes his helmet and then becomes the new leader of the headmasters. So he gets the armor, and he's in Cerebro, which is in Fortress Maximus. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. Then we're on to issue 49, or 39. So now we're getting resolved about what happened to Buster. So Buster was taken by Ratbat to their Decepticons headquarters. Remember the island? I talked about that in a previous issue, how they were on an island, and they were it's basically a giant spaceship under the ocean, and the top looks like an island, but it's all fake. It's all made by the Decepticons, and they stuck Buster on the island because they're in the South Pacific and the whole U.S. Navy's there, and they're about to attack, and they see the human, and they're like, oh shit, don't attack, because there's a human there. So then of course the Autobots, the headmaster Autobots with Spike now in the lead, finds out that his brother is being captured and he's on this island. So of course he gets all the Autobots and goes after them and attacks them on the island, but the island's is fake, so it's got all these defenses, and attacks those Autobots. And then there's some new ones in here, his first appearances. So not only did he have the headmasters, but he also had the what they call the target masters. So they wanted to change it up again. So now we have humans that are paired with Autobots, but they're not the heads, they're their weapons instead. So they're called the target masters. So in this one we had Crosshairs, who is the Autobot, and he has been paired with a human named Pinpoint. Then we have Point Blank, who's been paired with a human named Peacemaker. DC still stealing it. Then we've got a fan favorite, Hot Rod, shows up in this, and his weapon is called Sparks, or the human that's running the weapon is Sparks. Then we have Blur. Is it Blur? Yeah, Blur. And Haywire is the human running him, or the weapon. Then we have Sure Shot, which has the human Spoilsport, and then Cup, who has the human Recoil, as turned into weapons, which is kind of neat. I thought that was cool. And so they go and attack the island, and then the island, we got Shockwave basically running the show on there, because, you know, Megatron blew himself up on the space bridge. So the same thing with the Autobots. He says, screw it, we got fuel, we got everything, let's leave. So they take off into space. So Spike's pissed. He takes Fortress Maximus up there. And the other Autobots don't want to go because they think he's just being emotional about his brother, so they leave him to go out and attack. And of course, one of the palm trees opens up, fires this freaking shaft, and it goes right through Fortress Maximus. So then he breaks off and becomes Cerebro, and then continues to attack the Decepticon ship. So Shockwave goes out, moves into gun mode, and then blasts Cerebro, and then he breaks that head off and becomes just the Spike in the little robot thing. And something happens with Shockwave, and he gets caught in the Earth's atmosphere and then burns up, and that's the end of him. And for a split second, Spike sees his brother through this glass thing. You know, they're face to face, having one of those Kirk Spock moments. And then the ship takes off, and Spike's sitting there watching his brother leave, and he can't do a damn thing about it. And then, of course, all the other Autobots show up, and they're all apologetic for not helping him and saying, you know, he is a good leader after all. And they leave him to hang 10, which leads us to issue 40. And another first appearance in this one. So this one's got a first appearance of the Pretenders. So we've got another character that shows up again, that human that was Zach, I think it was, who was doing the game when the Autobots and the Decepticons were fighting each other, and Megatron and Optimus were hooked up to the machine, and whoever lost would be blown up. So in this case, it was Optimus that blew up. Well, he kept his brain. Remember, he downloaded it onto a disc, and he's been using them in a video game system. So he created this video game system. What was the name of it? Let's look at it together, because I just read this, but I didn't put any notes on the back, but I just read it, so it's still kind of percolating in the brain here. So we can kind of go through this together. So here we see Optimus at the beginning. You're thinking, oh my God, he's back. But he's not. He's not back. It's in a simulation. So, and he doesn't realize who he is. He thinks he's just part of a video game system, even though he's sentient. So he's talking to Zachary and telling him, you know, when are we going to do our next game? Who are you going to fight me against this time? And Zach's trying to tell him that, you know, you're leader of the Autobots. And Alternate Reality is the name of the system, or the company now. I guess this kid's got his own video game called Alternate Reality Incorporated. And he's trying to convince Optimus in the game that he's truly a robot. So he shows him when his body exploded and that whole scenario, and that he had copied his brain. So he tries to get hold of Buster Witwicky and try to prove it that way, and try to get hold of the Autobots. So he's phoning up, and he finds Spike, and he's talking to Spike, and Spike's just basically telling him all the woes. He's like, Jesus, I had a heart attack, and my house got destroyed, my business destroyed, both my kids are gone, one's kidnapped, the other one's turned into some freaking machine. And meanwhile, the headmaster's in space with Spike being, you know, the new boss, rebuilds Goldbug's body, and they put his consciousness back into it. And then, of course, he flies to Earth when he finds out that Optimus is alive and in the system, and then tries to convince him that he's the true leader of the Autobots, and he's not just a simulation. So they set him up with a new simulation to hopefully jar his memory and pit him against Decepticons. So they pit him against all these different Decepticons in there called the Pretenders, which is pretty cool. And then what happens towards the end of this one? So we've got all the Pretenders fighting. Optimus is you know, fighting the crap out of everybody. And at the end of this, we're going to see what happens. Maybe Optimus is going to finally come back. So Optimus, yeah, he's battling, do more battling. Yeah, and then at the end he realizes that he is the real deal. And so now the search is going to be on, because now they're going to have to find his body, because they launched his body out into space, and recover his body so they can put his consciousness back in. So there's a big huge battle with these pretender Decepticons. So it was all just a farce within the system. I mean, you could say these Decepticons are real, but it's all a simulation. So there we go. So there is the next 10 issues. So I think I have 15 more to go. So I'll do the next 10, the 5, and the one oddball one. And then that's going to be it for this series until I get the rest of them. Then I'll have to put addendums in the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed me droning on for the last half an hour about another one of my favorite series from my childhood, the Transformers. So we'll see you on the next one. Take care.